Shalom, Yasha Allah, Shalom, Shalom. Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashem, Mashiach, Wamalaki Hawashai, Wa Wukakwadash, Atazwa Kabal Kabayam, Mashquayam, Wa Kwam Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah, Ahabadam. Hey man, I got a treat for y'all today, man. I'm gonna be telling you, brother, what happens when you die? What happens when you die? What happens when you die? Where do you go? What happens? What do you see? You understand? What happens when you die, brother? And we're going to be talking about that today. Now, it's not going to be too in-depth, but I'm going to be giving you the basis answer. You understand? Because as a mortal man, I can only do what? Go thus saith the Lord. I can only go thus saith the Lord and show you what the scriptures say. I can go into the Greek. I can go into the Hebrew. I can go precept upon precept, line upon line. You understand? But it's only going to what? Touch the surface level of what the Lord gave us here on this earth. You understand? So let's go to the book of Genesis. We're going to kick it straight off, straight to the point, how I like it. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 2, right? And I'm going to read verse 7. It says, "And the Lord formed man of the dust of the ground." You know, on a milk level, what? Dust of the ground is what? When you dig up the earth, what color do you have? You have brown, right? So the first men and women that the Lord created, plural, was what? Brown people. That's on a milk level, right? And breathe and breath into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. You understand? And what makes you become a living soul? You get the knowledge and understanding of the Most High. You get the commandments. You understand? Like it tells you in the book of Ezekiel, I believe it's the 33rd chapter. Like it tells you in the book of Proverbs, chapter 7 and 1 on down. You understand? But I digress. I want to stay on this topic of death. Right, so man, what was formed out of the dust of the earth, right? But the Lord said dust, and like he didn't just say that just because it's, you know, brown people. Hey, let's get Job 11:6 real fast. Everything is double to that which is, right? That he may let thee know the secrets of wisdom. Everything is double to that which is, as it tells you in the book of Job, chapter 11, verse 6. You understand? So, hey, he formed man from the dust of the ground. Let's go to Genesis 3:19. It says, "In the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread till thou return unto the ground, for out of it was thou taken, for dust thou art." Double to that which is, brother, we're just mortal men. That's exactly how I started off this video. I'm just a mortal man that can do nothing but what? Show you what the Lord said. For dust thou art, right? And unto dust shalt thou return. You understand? And that's exactly what happens, man. Let's get 1 Peter 1:24. Then let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, and verse 7. And that's exactly what man is. And these mortal bodies, we've been sinning. You understand? And sin is what? Death, like you read about in the book of Romans, chapter 6, and verse 23. I'm doing a lot of paraphrasing because I don't want this video to be too long. This is the book of 1 Peter, chapter 1, and verse 24. It says, "For all flesh is as grass, and all the glory of man as the flower of grass. The grass withereth, and the flower thereof falleth away." You understand? So, brother, all flesh is going to perish. You understand? Actually, let's go deep into it. All right, it says all flesh is as grass. And what happens to grass? The winter kind of comes, right? The cold kind of comes, and it just withers away. You understand? It might be a strong wind, might be a strong storm. What happens to the grass? It just withers away. You understand? All grass is going to wither away. No one piece of grass has been here since the foundation of the earth. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12. No, I want to Ecclesiastes, chapter 2. I believe I want to start at verse 11. I want Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, and verse number 15. "Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even unto me." Right, so this is Solomon. Right, and he's what? He's contemplating, right? He's meditating on the precepts. He says what? "Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart, this also is vanity." What's the point of you going through all the breakdowns, you having all the precepts, you doing all of this, you doing all of this, when you and the fool who doesn't have any of the knowledge, wisdom, understanding that you have, he's going to perish just like you do. He might even get a better lot than you do. You understand? Y'all both might even have the same lots. You understand? This is vanity, as described by Solomon. Verse 16, "For there is no remembrance of the wise more than of the fool forever, seeing that which now is in the days to come shall be forgotten, and how dieth the wise man as a fool. Therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me. And that's what we go through today. For all is vanity and vexation of spirit. Yeah, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me. What? So Solomon knew what? Everything that you do under the sun is what? Is going to stay down here. Because when you die, we're going to get to that in a second. When you die, what? Your spirit goes up. But what? We just read, your flesh is as grass, and unto dust shall thou return. So your physical body is what? It's going to get buried, brother. Your physical body is going to stay here on earth until what? The resurrection. And I'm gonna touch on that in a little bit. You understand? But so far we've covered what? The Lord formed man from the dust of the earth and said, unto dust shalt thou return. And we read in 1 Peter, all flesh is as grass, all flesh withereth away, right? So at the end of the day, we read in Ecclesiastes 2, it's vanity, because what? We're all going to die. All our flesh is going to perish, you understand? Until what? That kingdom of heaven come, right? So that's why the Solomon said, I hated all the works that I did under the sun, because his vanity is going to stay down here, right? Because actually, and he also said, in Ecclesiastes 1 and 4, one generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. So man is forever going to be on earth, but the Lord has generations to come. The Lord has generations, keyword generations, to keep reproducing on this earth. So yes, there's a such thing called regeneration. In the scriptures, we don't call it reincarnation, because the scriptures describe it as what? Regeneration. But let's deal with death first, right? Now let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes 12 and 7. Ecclesiastes 12 and 7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, as we read in Genesis, and the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it. You understand? So we just pulled 4 different precepts telling you what? Your flesh is going to go back to the earth. It's going to be, you should have a proper burial in the earth. You understand? Because that's the commandments that our Lord was giving to us, that the Lord gave to us, right? Your flesh is going to physically perish, but what? Your spirit is going to return unto the Most High who gave it. You understand? So your flesh dies and your spirit goes back up. Because what? Your spirit was formed from the foundation of the world. Let's get that. The mighty brother Araya taught me this precept all through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, the water. This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 6. And I'm going to read verse number 3. It says, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Sion were hot, or ere the present years were sought out, or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure, then did I consider these things, and they were all made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they also ended, and by none other. This is the point, verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the part? No, that's not what I want. Let me jump back to verse number 1. And he said unto me, in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightning, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid. So basically, before any of the stuff that I just read, which is basically everything, before everything was created, what? The Lord knew you. You understand? The Lord created you. The Lord predestinated you. Let's go to that in the book of let's go to Jeremiah. I'll leave that alone. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1 and verse 5. So there's a such thing as predestination. And it's important to understand this real quick to understand the future lesson. You understand? Or me continuing on. Because what? The Lord formed man to return back to the dust. But your spirit is going to go back into the Most High. And what? He says one generation is after another. So the generation or generations is going to pass by, and the Most High is going to put your spirit back on the earth. And we're going to get an example of that. But let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1 and verse 5. It says, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. So we just read, before the Lord created everything, even in order for you to be formed in the belly, the Lord knew you. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. This is talking about Jeremiah, right? In the Hebrew, his name would be Jeremiah, in the Hebrew, his name would be Yamamyah. But this is talking about the prophet Jeremiah. You can also read about this in the book of Romans, chapter 8 and verse 29. So there's a such thing as predestination, you understand? Therefore, if everything is predestinated, meaning if your blueprint is already laid out, how can there be free will? If the Lord created you to go through this and to get to this destination, how can there be free will? No. You read the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, you read, you devise your own way, but the Lord is going to pave your steps. You understand? So you think you're doing your own thing, but the Lord is really directing your thoughts in order for you to think where you're going is where you're going. It gets deep like that. You understand? That's how the Lord get down. Now let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 119. Psalms chapter 119, verse 165. It says, great peace have all they which love thy law. Great peace have all they which love my law, which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. You understand? So, nothing is gonna offend the men and women that love the law. You understand? That at the end of the day, that's what's going on when you die. So, you love the law, your Lord creates you, right? And he put you back on this earth to death, right? And then your spirit goes up what? To the Most High. Now you have something called what? You have something called the resurrection. Let's go to the book of let's start with 1 Thessalonians, chapter 4 and verse 16. Hopefully this is making sense because I'm literally giving it to you in order. Man was formed, right? And then we reproduce, as it tells you in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 28, be fruitful and multiply, right? And then you live your life, and then you die, you have your proper burial, you understand? And then what? Your spirit goes up to the Most High who gave it, you understand? And then what? After generations and generations, you have what? The resurrection, right? Let's go to 1 Thessalonians. Or do I want 2 Thessalonians? I think I want, 1 Thessalonians 4 and 16. It says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Hamashiach, which is Christ, shall rise first. You understand? So those men and women that died for the Lord, you understand, with bold names, their flesh is going to rise first. So that's what you call the resurrection. And on a deeper level, that's what makes the nation of Israel unique. You understand? Because every other nation, every other religion has what? They have a prophecy. They have a prophecy to come pass. They have a prophet. They have a prophecy, and they have a Most High. They have a power, and then they have a prophecy to come pass, and then they have the fulfillment of that prophecy. You understand? But us as a nation, what? We have the actual prophecies that come to pass. We have the actual prophets. We have the actual Most High God, and what? We have the actual resurrection. That's literally what makes us unique. That's a part of what makes us above all nations. That's literally a part of what makes us, unique. That's a part of what makes us set apart. Quadash, you understand? That's literally a part of that, you understand? Brother, we have the resurrection. The Lord is literally going to resurrect bodies. The Lord resurrected his son, what? On the third day. He literally rose from the dead. That's what makes us unique. No other nation, none of their gods can do this. As you read about in the book of Baruch, chapter 6 and verse number 36, none of their gods can do this. You understand? This is unique to us, right? Where do I want to go with this? This is the resurrection. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 1 and verse 21. Right, and we're going to jump into the Greek with this to understand this. Right, so that's the resurrection. So you're going to die, right? And then your spirit's going to go back up to the Most High. And then when the Most High returns, you understand, I kind of jumped this step. I mean, you have this and then you have the resurrection. But nonetheless, you're going to die. Let's read this and I'm going to tie it all together. This is the book of John, chapter 1 and verse number 21. It says, and they asked him, what then? Art thou Elijah? And he saith, I am not. Art thou that prophet? He answered, no. Then said they unto him, who art thou? that we may give an answer to them that sent us. What sayest thou of thyself? He said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make the straight the way of Lord, as said in the prophet of Isaiah. So he's what? He's quoting Isaiah 40 and 3 on down. But what? Why are they asking this man, is he Elijah? Is he that prophet? When these prophets have already perished, they've already been withered away. Because our forefathers, they understood what? They understood regeneration. You understand? They understood the fact that that spirits would be regenerated. So you can come back with the spirit of Elijah, but what? You don't remember, as we just read in Ecclesiastes, you don't remember the things that you went through in your past life. You understand? So that's what regeneration is. Your spirit goes up to the Most High, and he sends that spirit back on the earth in a different flesh. And that flesh doesn't remember the things that were before. You understand? But it has the same spirit. That's why they're asking him, are you Elijah? Are you that prophet? That's why they're confused. They're trying to figure out who he is. You understand? Where I left off, verse 23. I'm gonna keep reading. And they which were sent were of the Pharisees, and they asked him and said unto him, why baptize thou then, if thou be not Hamashiach or Elijah, neither that prophet? John answered them, saying, I baptize with water, but there standeth among you one whom ye know not. You understand? So that's really John the Baptist, and they were trying to figure out who it was. They was figuring out who his spirit was. But the Lord formed John the Baptist. The Lord formed John the Baptist for the foundation of the world to do what? Bring forth that water baptism, right? And to be as righteous as he possibly was. You understand? And to get decapitated. I believe he was decapitated. Now, when you read this, you'll find in the Greek, you understand, the word palagonisa. You'll find the word, in verse 21, you'll find the word palagonisa. You understand? And for you scholars out there, the what do they call it? The title or the name, whatever they call it, the title, the translation, whatever they call it, is GK 4908, and you find the word palagonesia, which means renewal, rebirth, which is basically regeneration. You understand? Now let's dig into it. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 12, and we can go through the Gospels. You understand? We can go through the Gospels. Chapter 16, I believe it's verse 24. Matthew chapter 16, I'm going to read this whole thing. In verse 24, then said Yahushua unto his disciples, if any man come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, or whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his own soul? For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. So that's talking about what? Hey, when the Lord come back on the second time, he's coming in the spirit and judgment of all manner of righteousness, like you read about in the book of Acts, chapter 17 and verse 31. You understand? In the spirit of his Father. Well, that's why we say the Most High in the name of his Son Yahushua. You understand? Because he sent down his Son in the flesh. Now, this is the point, verse 28. Oh, Lord willing, that makes sense. Just read verse 27 again, and it makes sense. This is verse 28. This is the point. It says, verily, I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death, till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. So this is Yahushua physically telling men that he's looking at, hey, some of you are not going to taste death until the glory of the kingdom comes. The kingdom is not coming until what? He comes for a second time. You understand? So what? So that means our forefathers and even Yahushua, he's telling them, brother, Peter, James, John, Paul, they clearly perished. They clearly died. But their flesh wasn't going to be thousands of years old today, and they still kind of walking around living until the Lord came back. What he's telling them is, brother, your spirit is going to be regenerated and flourishing on this earth until I come back in this kingdom. That's literally what that means. You understand? Let's go to 19. Let's go to Matthew 19. And look, Yahushua he's gonna explain it to you. Matthew 19 and 28. And Yahushua said unto him, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration. That's where brothers get the term from, because Yahushua said it himself. It says, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration. You understand? So on a deeper level, men and women today that follow the Lord, that's going precept upon precept, that's praying, that's fasting, that's reading, you were the men and women that followed the Lord in the ancient world. You understand? You was the man that separated from your family to follow the Lord. You was the man that took up your cross, like we just read, and followed the Lord in the ancient world. Your spirit, the Most High gave your flesh that spirit to follow the Lord, right? Because in this flesh, you're looking at just flesh. But what you're really looking at is my spirit going precept upon precept, showing you what? The secrets to wisdom. You understand? When the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yasha'Allah. You understand? And that's what that's going into. You understand? That's regeneration in the Bible. That spirits be regenerated after your flesh have withered away and your spirit going up. You regenerated. Your spirit is regenerated on this earth, and what? Your flesh doesn't remember the past former things, right? But your spirit is gonna bear witness with what? The truth. You understand? And then what? You have the resurrection, like as we read in 1 Thessalonians 4:16, right? Let's go back to that because I read it out of order. 1 Thessalonians 4:16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout. So what? This is talking about the second coming. For the Lord shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel and with the trump of God, and the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first. You understand? So what? You have that death, you have that regeneration of spirits until the Lord comes back, right? And then you have what? The resurrection. You understand? Then you have the resurrection of the dead. 1 second, bear with me. I think we can leave it right there. But I think I do want to leave it right there. Lord willing, that makes sense. I'm gonna go to Ezekiel. I know what I want, but I'm forgetting a certain precept. Please bear with me. I'm gonna go to Ezekiel 37:12. Right. But give me a second. Forgive me for this. Lord willing, this makes sense. I'm kind of putting it in a chronological order, and I'm just getting the head choppers to break it down. But it's okay. We can wrap this thing up. Right? We can wrap this thing up. So, boom. We started in Genesis and we found out what? The Lord formed man from the dust of the earth. You understand? And then what? Unto dust shalt thou return. Right? All flesh is grass. Right? And then what? Once you die, your spirit goes up unto the Most High who gave it. Right? And then what? Your spirit is sent back on this earth into a different flesh. You understand? But what? Your flesh is not going to remember the former things. Your flesh is not going to remember the former things, right? And then you prosper on this earth. Some men, what? Follow the Lord. Some men, what? Are returning to everlasting damnation. Let's go to that in the book of Daniel, chapter 12. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12, and verse 2. It says, Daniel 12:2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. You understand? And this is on a spiritual level. So this is talking about in the end days, in the last time. Let's read verse 1. It says, and at that time, Michael, the archangel, shall stand up, the great prince, which shall stand before the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that the same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book of what? The book of life, right? That what is that book? That book that's been found, that book that has been predestinated from the foundation of the earth, right? The names in that book of life has been predestinated since the world was created. That's why I actually digressed and made that point. You have predestination in this thing. Verse number 2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life. Right? So this is spiritual, meaning what? Some men, some of those spirits are gonna do what? Remember thy God, remember our God, and what? Come to everlasting life. Right? Because once this flesh withers away and Lord willing the kingdom comes, you understand? Then what? Then we're gonna have that everlasting life, right, in the kingdom of heaven. And some to shame and everlasting contempt, right? Because you men and women that don't really want to serve the Lord, you're going to be in everlasting contempt. Yeah, you're going to be in the kingdom of heaven, but you're not going to be living as the promises were really made for you. You're not going to be really, really living in the kingdom. You understand? You're not going to have no servants and stuff like that as the prophecies declare. But verse number 3, and they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of a firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever. You understand? So that's really what that's going into. You understand? So let's go back to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37. And I believe I want verse 12. Therefore, prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel, right? Physically and spiritually. Physically, we have what? The resurrection. As we read in 1 Thessalonians 4:16, the Lord is going to actually have people resurrected from the dead and cause them to be what? Brought back into the land of Israel. On a spiritual level, this is talking about the dry bones. Our people that sleep on a dry bone level, right? You don't know who you are. You don't know how to serve the Lord. You don't know why you're here in this land. You kind of just get drunk. You smoke weed and you have fun. You understand? You're asleep. But the Lord is what? He's going to wake certain men up to wake you up and he's ultimately going to bring us all back into the nation of Israel. All Israel will be saved. Damn, I keep forgetting that precept. Let's see if I can go to that. In the book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 26. So this is the end all be all, right? So after the Lord created man and then predestinated for him to die, but his spirit to go back up to him to be regenerated back on the earth, and then the Lord comes back and we have that what? We have that resurrection, you understand? We have the end all be all while we're here on this earth. Romans 11 and 26. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. Because ungodliness is the reason why we perish. Ungodliness is the reason why we're in this condition. Ungodliness is the reason why we die. Let me get one more. I thought that was going to be the last one. Let me get this one. 2 Esdras 4 and 30. For the grain of evil seed hath been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning. And how much ungodliness hath it brought up until this time? How much ungodliness has sin started from Adam all the way up until now? Something to think about. And how much shall it yet bring forth until the time of threshing come? Right now, the time of threshing is literally on the horizon. Verse 31, ponder now by thyself how great fruit of wickedness the grain of evil seed hath been brought forth. Do you understand? Right? And that time of threshing is what's coming. Right? It's threshing because what? The Lord has to replenish this earth from the blood that was shed in it. You understand? But in the end all be all Israel will be saved. Right? And that's what happens when you die. That's regeneration. That's resurrection. That's predestination in the Bible. Kwam Yasha Allah, Shalom.